I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion has already been born. Government exists to protect us from each other. Where government has gone beyond its limits is in deciding to protect us from ourselves. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be one nation gone under. Within the covers of the Bible are the answers for all the problems men face. There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. The most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." I have left orders to be awakened at any time during national emergency, even if I'm in a cabinet meeting. Live simply, love generously, care deeply, speak kindly, leave the rest to God. Republicans believe every day is the 4th of July, but the Democrats believe every day is April 15th. You can tell a lot about a fellow's character by his way of eating jelly beans. We don't have $1 trillion debt because we haven't taxed enough. We have $1 trillion debt because we spend too much. I know in my heart that man is good, that what is right will always eventually triumph, and there is purpose and worth to each and every life. Heroes may not be braver than anyone else. They're just braver 5 minutes longer. I've heard that hard work never killed anyone, but I say why take the chance? Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. Politics is not a bad profession. If you succeed, there are many rewards. If you disgrace yourself, you can always write a book. Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world. But the Marines don't have that problem. It isn't so much that liberals are ignorant. It's just that they know so many things that aren't so. Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged. Recession is when your neighbor loses his job. Depression is when you lose yours. And recovery is when Jimmy Carter loses his. We will always remember. We will always be proud. We will always be prepared, so we will always be free. Government is not a solution to our problem, government is the problem. It has been said that politics is the second oldest profession. I have learned that it bears a striking resemblance to the first. The federal government did not create the states created the federal government. Of the 4 wars in my lifetime, none came about because the U.S. was too strong. I have wondered at times what the 10 Commandments would have looked like if Moses had run them through the U.S. Congress. Above all, we must realize that no arsenal, or no weapon in the arsenals of the world, is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. Thomas Jefferson once said, "We should never judge a president by his age, only by his works." And ever since he told me that, I stopped worrying. Democracy is worth dying for, because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man. Socialism only works in 2 places. Heaven where they don't need it and hell where they already have it. A hippie is someone who looks like Tarzan, walks like Jane and smells like Cheetah. Government is like a baby. An alimentary canal with a big appetite at one end and no sense of responsibility at the other. I've always believed that a lot of the trouble in the world would disappear if we were talking to each other instead of about each other. Here you discover that so long as books are kept open, then minds can never be closed. Our government needs the church, because only those humble enough to admit they're sinners can bring democracy the tolerance it requires to survive. Entrepreneurs and their small enterprises are responsible for almost all the economic growth in the United States. There are no such things as limits to growth, because there are no limits to the human capacity for intelligence, imagination, and wonder. Peace is not absence of conflict, it is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. These young Americans sent a message to terrorists everywhere. You can run but you can't hide. If history teaches anything, it teaches that self-delusion in the face of unpleasant facts is folly. I'm no linguist, but I have been told that in the Russian language, there isn't even a word for freedom. Each generation goes further than the generation preceding it because it stands on the shoulders of that generation. You will have opportunities beyond anything we've ever known. Freedom is one of the deepest and noblest aspirations of the human spirit.